For most writers, the opening scene of their novel is the hardest to write. Why? Because it plays such a crucial role in the book's success or failure. The opening scene needs to hook readers and make them care about your protagonist and the story's premise enough to keep turning pages. Ugh, just saying that already makes me feel the writer's block creeping in. But here's the thing. Writing that powerful opening scene doesn't have to be so intimidating and overwhelming. In fact, in this episode, we'll make things much easier by talking about the 5 essential questions that every writer should answer in their first few pages. Hello, and welcome to the Speculative Fiction Writing Made Simple podcast. I'm your host, Heather Davis. I'm a book coach, developmental editor, and fellow storyteller. And this is the show that's all about how to brainstorm, write, edit, publish, and sell a powerful speculative fiction novel, and maybe just change the world too. Over the last decade, I've read a lot of opening pages and scenes. A lot. And almost every single one of them is missing something crucial, something that the writer has no idea is missing at all. No, not all opening scenes are lacking the exact same elements, but they often fail to address one of the following must-answer questions. So let's go ahead and dive in and find out exactly what questions you need to make sure you answer in the opening pages of your novel. Question number 1. Who is your protagonist externally and internally? Look, your protagonist is the most important character in your novel. In fact, they aren't just the most important character, they literally define the entire narrative from start to finish. Why? Because they are the lens through which readers experience the events of your plot. Which means you need to make sure readers know exactly who the protagonist is as early as possible, preferably on the first page and in the opening paragraph. To do this, first you need to make sure that it's clear who your protagonist is physically, meaning of the characters you introduce in the opening scene, which one is the reader supposed to recognize as the protagonist and really start connecting to and attaching to. This can be a little tricky if you're writing a novel from the third-person POV and your opening scene includes more than one person. If this sounds like the opening scene of your novel, don't panic. You can make sure it's immediately clear who your protagonist is if you make sure their interiority is thoroughly woven throughout the opening scene. Meaning, it's not enough to just know what's happening in the exterior world, but readers also need to know what those events mean to your protagonist internally. How does your protagonist think? What do they feel? What are their biases? What meaning do they attach to the unfolding events of the plot? Once you become experienced at adding in this type of interiority, readers will have no problem figuring out exactly who the protagonist is and caring about them enough to want to follow them on their journey. Question number 2. What is your protagonist's immediate goal? Your protagonist needs an immediate goal when the novel opens, a specific thing that they want and they're actively pursuing. This is absolutely crucial for hooking readers into your narrative and ensuring they stick around long enough to fall in love with your protagonist and invest in the larger story. Sometimes your protagonist's immediate goal in the opening scene aligns with their major story goal throughout the rest of the novel. But usually it's something entirely different. It's really just there to highlight who your protagonist is as a person, reveal aspects of their backstory, give the reader context about the story world, and hint at your protagonist's character arc. So ask yourself, what could my protagonist be pursuing in the opening scene that would reveal some of these key pieces of information? Are they trying to find someone or something? Are they trying to escape a situation? Are they trying to win a competition or accomplish a task? Whatever you decide on, your protagonist's goal should be clear and concrete, driving the action in the opening scene and giving readers a reason to root for them. Question number 3. What's at stake for your protagonist if they don't achieve their goal? The stakes for your protagonist should be high because high stakes create delicious tension and keep readers invested. When determining the stakes in your opening scene, choose carefully and thoughtfully. Consider how these stakes might reveal your protagonist's personality, backstory, and character arc. Also consider how they might relate back to your world building. For example, if your protagonist's immediate goal is to steal a book from a library and the consequence of failure is death, it can reveal a lot about the dystopian society your protagonist lives in. One word of caution: high stakes aren't always about external threats like death. Sometimes stakes are internal, such as the possibility of disappointing a parent. So ask yourself, what happens if my protagonist fails to achieve their immediate goal? What do they stand to lose? And how can I use these stakes to help reveal more about my protagonist and their world? Question number 4. What is the context of the story world and the protagonist's current situation? Okay, I've hinted at this one already, but context is absolutely essential for grounding readers in the story world. After all, context is where you tell readers what's happening and why any of the events matter. Without context, nothing makes sense, and readers quickly lose interest and go find something less frustrating to read. While it's true that you don't want to overwhelm readers with inane backstory, it is still absolutely pivotal to provide enough context to make the opening scenes understandable and engaging. So ask yourself, what information do readers need to know to make sense of this opening scene? What do they need to know about the world and how it functions? What do they need to know about the protagonist's backstory and motives? What concrete details about the story world or the protagonist's backstory can I add in to make the narrative feel richer? And once you've decided what information you think is necessary for readers to know in the opening scene, don't just take all of that information and dump it into one paragraph of summary. That will definitely turn readers off. What you need to do instead is grind up that information and sprinkle it in like seasoning. Okay, I have to say it. Plot and character arc are intricately connected, meaning your protagonist has a fundamental misbelief about the world, one that's preventing them from being truly happy and fulfilled. And your plot is there to push them into facing that misbelief and overcoming it. Which means when your novel kicks off, that pesky misbelief should be causing problems in their life. Otherwise, what does it matter if they ever overcome it or not? For example, if your protagonist believes that people can't be trusted and will always let them down, this misbelief might lead to external problems like isolation. They might struggle with building relationships and working as a part of a team. Internally, they might wrestle with loneliness and self-doubt. These problems are what I call symptoms of the misbelief. And by crafting an opening scene that highlights these symptoms, readers will empathize with your poor protagonist and want to stick around long enough to see if they ever sort out their messy life. Okay, writers, I hope this episode was super helpful. If you're interested in finding out more about character arc and how to develop your protagonist's misbelief, I invite you to get on the waiting list for my new free mini course, 4 Secrets to Crafting a Powerful Character Arc. That link is right in the show notes, so go sign up now because you don't want to miss out. It's going to be great. Until next time, keep writing, keep dreaming, and remember, the world needs your stories right now, so don't you dare give up on your novel or yourself. Talk soon.